All right, another big area for us is image tracking. So image tracking is the thing where I show a unique image and it maps it to a model or an activity that you want to have happen. And you can see under here, image library is what you're building up. So you have the images you're tracking, you have the image library that you need, and this is just going to be a quick overview for what you got to do. So we talked about the AR session origin. So if you go into your application, into your game, we want to just click on AR session origin, and it'll show us that we have an AR camera. What we need to do is to add a component called AR tracked image manager. So that becomes the image manager. That's the list of all the images that you're going to have things key off of. And once you have it, it's like, well, what's the serialized library, right? Oh, more clarification. The manager manages the library. Sorry about that little bit. But yeah, the manage the library. So you're actually populating the library full of pictures and like prefabs and other things. But essentially, we need to make that happen. So if I zip over here, the image library and the number of simultaneous tracked images. So the idea is you can track more than one image at a time, but we need to have the AR tracked imager manager added. So once you have that in your scene, you are now tracking. So so from there, it's actually pretty straightforward. We want to import sprites. I can drag in sprites from things like Photoshop, or I can take in PNGs. And if I bring a PNG, I just have to tell it that it's a sprite 2D and a UI feature. So you click on it, it opens the menu up, you click, and then it gives you that choice, and you say, yeah, this will work great for me. And then now the sprite is recognized by the system. So dragging and dropping sprites into the system is pretty straightforward. Pretty handy, because these are going to be the cards that I'm going to use as the triggers. So if I have the cards as the triggers, that's good. So right. So the idea is, yeah, okay, I'm gonna have my tracked image manager, and now I'm gonna have some sprites that are going to be those the image triggers, and then I need to make the library. So I go over to create, scroll down to XR reference image library. So this is the part where it makes me a little reference image library, and now I can start populating it with the images. So here's how we would do that. We would click on the reference images, and it has an add image feature. So you click on add image, zip over, and it gives you like a little, give me a texture, and that's what those sprites are, is the textures. Give it a name, specify a size for it, and keep at runtime. So if I do that, I can just click here and I can select my sprites and just click the sprite that I want it to interact with. These can be pictures, they can be symbols, they can all that sort of stuff, but they're just 2D images that are unique enough to recognize independently. So then here I'm just saying the physical size of this card is something like 0.06 of a meter. So I'm keeping that. But it looks like I decided later on that is 0.075 of a meter and is 0.1. So here you're trying to figure out what the physical size. So I measured out a physical size of a card and came up with 0.075, 0.1 as part of a meter. It's a very high resolution image, 2700 by 3600. And then keep it runtime. Then you add the image, and boom, you've got it. And then I also did some research trying to figure out, well, what is the size of an ID card? Let's do that. And then you just do this over and over again, and you build up the library, and that library is ready to go for you. So where it's ready to go, it's going to be dragged right into the serialized information area. And that's it. So drag and dropped onto there, and we're in good shape. So if I want to just do a live example real quick, so I'll find my project, and I'm in the Anchor project. So I'm like, no, I want to be in the right scene. So I'm going to click on scenes, and I'm going to go AR tracked images. So click tracked images, and yeah, this is the scene. I've got a Dalek in the world. We've got coffee cups. There's all kinds of interesting things in here. But if I click origin, I can click on my serialized image library, click that, and it actually shows me the library that I'm clicked on. I can click this, and I have the 4 different pictures that I'm triggering off of. And it's a heat of the kitchen, test taste, dinner with neighbors, researching the recipe, and I can keep adding more images, things like that. And then, okay, so we've got triggers. We have what's in the library, but how do we use them, right? So we need to go back to our session origin, and there are two scripts that are on here. And these are going to be on the example anyway, so you don't have to invent these. So what you find is heat of the kitchen, taste test, dinner with neighbors, researching the recipe. This is the list of images from the library, and you say, oh, I want a cube show up when heat of the kitchen is shown. When taste test is recognized, a red Dalek shows up. Dinner with neighbors, a coffee cup shows up, and a tracked cube shows up if we research the recipe. So one of the tasks is to find much more interesting and appropriate 3D objects. But we have them. I made them prefabs, and I can basically, I have them ready to go. So if I wanted to change those settings, I have to go back to session origin, and then I can say, oh, I want a coffee cup for the tracked cube, and I want dinner with neighbors to be interrupted with a Dalek, and taste test is going to show me my tracked cube. So now I've just mixed it all up, but now they're all set. And then just the final step is that, okay, we've got these, they're in the world. I have some things. I'll press F and I can rotate around. You can see a little bit about what's in the world. And then, to use it, I'm going to go back to my phone. And in order to get that stuff running with the phone, I have to go back to my file and then build and run. So file, build and run, and that's going to send it to the phone. And then that will deploy the application. Let me do a quick cancel though, because there is one more part, right? I have different applications I wanted to build and deploy. So I go to build settings, and I need to make sure in my build settings that say not the anchor scene, but the tracked multi-images are selected. So I have to pick the right scene. Then I can do the build and run like I wanted to. And I'd say, yeah, save that. Then we'll replace it. So just throw a temp directory for that. And then this will do build and run. And this will be up and operational in just a sec. So, and I have a very cramped space for this to work. So it's a pretty strange scenario when you actually see it on the phone. It'll be kind of fun to see. But yeah, so it's doing all of that work. And in fact, there we go. So now I just need to get on my phone, and it should launch. There it is. It's loading Unity. Woo! All right, and it gives me my little world 00 point. And now here I'm scanning around. I can look at stuff. I need to do this really tinily. So I got to go find the right images. So I'm doing two things at once. Let's go to sprites, because those are what I used, and I have like heat of the kitchen sprite. So I need that bigger. So I'm going to say right click and say show in Explorer, and then I'm going to double click it. Hopefully you'll see that I went to sleep. Come back to life, and then now it's tracking the cube. There we go. Cool. So anyway, there's more things to explore, so I want you to try this out. But yeah, there it goes. Works pretty nice. And you're gonna start with everything ready to go. So all right, thanks.